Chapter 11. The Sea Still Rises. France, a week later, the Vag's wine shop, and the hall of examination in Paris, the Marquis's chateau in the country, and the nearby village. There was a change in the appearance of Saint Antoine. Madame Duval sat observing it with a feeling of hidden satisfaction, as was fitting in the leader of the Saint Antoine women. One of her sisterhood knitted beside her. This short, rather stout woman, a shopkeeper by trade, had already been given the nickname of the Vengeance. "Listen," said the Vengeance, "who is coming?" As if a line of gunpowder from the outermost edge of the Saint Antoine quarter had been suddenly fired, a fast-spreading murmur came rushing along. "It's Duval," said Madame. "Silence, patriots." Duval came in breathless, pulled off a red cap he wore, and looked around him. "Listen, everyone," said Madame. "Listen to him. Does everyone here remember old Foulon, who told the starving people to eat grass?" "Everyone," came the cry from one and all. "They have found him hiding in the country, and they have brought him back to Paris. I have seen him. He's a prisoner. I have said that he has reason to fear us." "Say, everyone, has he reason?" A moment of deep silence followed. Duval and his wife looked steadily at each other. "Patriots," said Duval in a determined voice, "are we ready?" Instantly, Madame Duval's knife was in her belt, a drum was beating in the street, and the Vengeance, with terrible screams, was going from house to house to rouse the women. The men were terrible in the bloody-minded anger with which they looked from windows, picked up the arms they had, and poured down into the streets. But the women were a sight to chill the blood of the boldest. With the wildest cries they rushed out. "Wicked Foulon, taken my sister. Old Foulon, taken my mother. Evil Foulon, taken my daughter. Foulon, who told the starving people they might eat grass. Foulon, who told my old father that he might eat grass when I had no bread to give him. Foulon, who told my baby it might eat grass when I had no milk. Hear me, my dead baby, and my father. I swear on my knees to avenge you. Give us the head of Foulon. Give us the heart of Foulon." With these cries, armed men and women rushed out of the quarter so fast that within a short time there wasn't a living creature in Saint Antoine but a few old women and crying children. They reached the hall of examination where the man was held. "See the old villain tied with ropes. He had a bunch of grass tied to his back. Ha ha, that was well done. Let him eat it now." Madame put her knife under her arm and clapped her hands as at a play. The examination of Foulon went on and on. The impatience of Saint Antoine grew greater and greater. At last they could wait no more. Duval jumped over a table and reached for the miserable wretch. Madame Duval followed, then the Vengeance, then Jack 3. A cry went up. "Bring him out, bring him to the lamp." Down and up, and head first down the steps of the building. Now on his knees, now on his feet, now on his back, dragged and struck at with bunches of straw and grass that were pushed into his face by hundreds of hands. Torn and bleeding, yet always begging for mercy, he was dragged to the nearest street corner where a lamp hung, and there Madame Duval let him go, as a cat might have done a mouse, and slightly and calmly looked at him while they made ready. Women screamed at him, men called out for him to have grass stuffed in his mouth. They threw a rope over the lamp and put it around his neck. They pulled it up once, the rope broke, and they caught him screaming. They pulled him up as a second time, the rope broke again, and they caught him screaming. A third time. This time the rope held him, and it was done. Nor was this the end of the day's bad work. For Saint Antoine so shouted and danced its angry blood up, and it boiled again. The news came that the son-in-law of the dead Fulon was coming into Paris under a guard 500 strong. Saint Antoine tore him away, set his head and heart on spears, and went through the streets. At last it has come, my dear, said Duvac to his wife. Oh, well, replied his wife, almost. There was a change in the village, with the fountain where the road repairer went daily to work for such small pieces of bread as might hold his poor body together. Far and wide the countryside was ruined. Every green leaf, every blade of grass and grain was as dry and poor as the miserable people. Everything was bent, oppressed, and broken. Houses, fences, animals, men, women, children, and the earth, all worn out. For so many years the Marquis had squeezed it and wrung it, but had rarely visited it, except to go hunting. The change consisted of the appearance of strange faces, for in these times the road repairer would see some rough figures approaching on foot. Such strangers were once rare in these parts, but now were seen frequently. Such a man came towards him like a ghost at noon in July, as he sat taking cover as best he could from a shower of heavy rain. The man looked at him, looked at the village and the foot of the hill, looked at the mill and at the prison on the hilltop, and then said, "How goes it, Jack?" "All well, Jack." "Touch then." They touched hands, and the man sat down on the pile of stones. "No dinner?" "Nothing," said the road repairer with a hungry face. "It's the fashion," growled the man. He took out the blackened pipe, filled it, lit it, and pulled at it until it burned brightly. "Touch then." It was the turn of the road repairer to say it this time. They again joined hands. "Tonight?" said the road repairer. "Tonight," said the man, putting his pipe into his mouth. "Where?" "Here." He and the road repairer sat on the pile of stones, looking silently at each other, with the rain driving in between them, until the sky began to clear over the village. "Show me," said the man, moving to the top of the hill. "See, over there, beyond that hilltop, beyond the village." The man left him. At sunset the road repairer went home, and was soon at the fountain, squeezing himself among the thin cows, brought there to drink, and appearing even to whisper to them in his whispering to all the village. When the village had taken its poor supper, it didn't creep to bed as it usually did, but came out of doors again and remained there. A curious whispering was going on, and a curious looking at the sky in one direction only. The night deepened. The trees around the old chateau moved in a rising wind, as though they threatened the huge building. Through the woods 4 heavy figures came on together to the courtyard. 4 lights suddenly appeared and moved away in different directions, and all was black again. But not for long. Soon after, the chateau began to be seen. Strangely lit by a light of its own. Then a light shone behind and between the front, showing arches and windows. Then it went up higher and higher, broader and brighter. Soon flames burst out from a dozen great windows. The stone faces awakened and stared out of fire. The road repairer and 250 others stood with folded arms at the village fountain, looking at the pillar of fire in the sky. It must be 40 feet high, they said grimly, and never moved. The chateau was left to itself to burn.